people, welcome to Perth Watch, your horology channel, broadcasting from right here in Perth, Western Australia. Today I have a piece courtesy of WR Watches. I've reviewed a San Martin from them. Very popular review, I think, and that was some time ago, and I'm glad to receive a second piece for them for review today. So this piece is from Rdunae. That is I think the official brand name, but a sub-brand of Retangula. It comes in this, very attractively bright case. I think, this really caught my eye when I saw it. So guys, without further ado, let's flip it around and take a closer look at what's in here. All right, guys, so here we have this very striking red, I guess it's ABS plastic case on the table here. Spinability is pretty good. Yeah, I think that's, it's going to be a 3.5 or thereabouts. I'm not giving it the full spin in case this thing knocks out my camera here. WR Watches, the website, who has, collaborated for this review. And then Retangula, not rectangular, but Retangula, which is the sub-brand of this Rdunae watch. Okay, let's get it open. Nice, solid little clips here. Does feel that this can submerge and protect the contents. Watch over here, and then just quickly show you spring bar tool with a couple of spare bars. They have actually rubber keepers here in case you want to replace the steel keeper on the watch with rubber. A little bit of tag, and then manual, which really I'm not going to spend time going through that. It does have a warranty card, and interestingly, this is just cardboard, but the VIP card is actually a proper plastic card here. So go figure, what you can get for this. You can, I guess, scan it and take a look online what you get from WR Watches VIP. Okay, let's put that aside now and show you guys the watch in closer detail. So guys, this is the Rdunae Retangula R1 Zaku. I call it the Zaku Tuna 2 titanium automatic because really this is homaging the Seiko SBDX029. I think this is loosely, at least most closely homaging that. That's the Char's Zaku-II limited edition. The real one goes for around $4,000 or $5,000 depending on the market conditions at the time, with an 8L movement. This one, of course, doesn't have that. Retail price, this is listed at $459 on WR Watches website. Yesterday when I looked it up, there was a sale on, I think it was on for about $350. So perhaps the discussion point for this watch is around that mark, $350, $400. Expect, you will get it on sale from time to time. All right, first up, guys, as usual, movement time. Let's talk about that. As you might expect, it is the NH35A. Stats down the left side here. Not going to go through them because you guys almost, most of you might have already memorized it by now. In use, this is running slightly slow for me in the last week. It's running about -4 seconds per day. Not a big deal. I can either choose to open it and regulate it or just live with -4 seconds per day. That I don't find that too troublesome. Of course, you would prefer it to run slightly fast. The quick set date here, in this case, implemented at the usual 3 o'clock position in that kind of inscribed window. It's surrounded by black printing there. It is black writing on white disc. Not a problem with this watch because that white disc does offset the counterbalance on the other side of that hour marker. But yeah, it is just the standard black writing white disc. Okay, moving on to this massive case here. So how do you measure this case? Because it is, kind of a tuna can that goes wider and then narrow at the top. I can tell you from the bottom edge, if you measure the diameter at the bottom edge, it's coming up at about 51.5 millimeters using calipers. What I can tell you about the bezel itself, if you just measure the bezel diameter, that is 43 millimeter, which is, I guess, a lot more normal size. 51 is definitely not normal size for a steel watch. It's a massive watch. Thickness from the bottom of the case to the top of the bezel, that's the full thickness here, is 17.5 millimeters. The lug width is 22 millimeters, so you kind of just tucked in lugs here. and they are drilled. Okay, just to note that they do provide drilled lugs here. The full case height, because we don't really talk about lug to lug distance here, because the biggest distance is this case height. You can see it dips in lower compared to the side here, so it's actually slightly higher than the horizontal diameter. That vertical diameter is 53 millimeters between my fingers here. Okay, just to let you know, as opposed to 51.5 if you measure it horizontally across the case. On rubber strap, it's only 125 grams, so relatively light despite this massive case. Finishing wise, okay, so really it's mostly brush finishing. This shroud, is kind of matte finishing. They call this super hard oxidized coated aluminium. That's what they say this shroud is. The case itself is IP coated titanium, so they're pretty cool that they've provided there. That's including the bezel as well as the case. So most of the case is only visible at the back here, and you can see the titanium itself has some brushing in there. The case back, hopefully you can appreciate that as I let the lighting fall on it, which side is up. So roughly there. So that you can see that etching, laser etching on the case back, that weapon there. Presumably that is actually Charles Zaku's gun. I haven't actually done due diligence to make sure that's what that is, but that's obviously a Gundam weapon there. So screw down case back. The crown is plain, and I assume the Seiko probably is also a plain crown. They're actually giving 500 meter water rating on this watch, and that's between the 300 lighter Marine Master and the 1000 meter Marine Master rating. So I don't believe there is a 500 meter Marine Master, at least not in the Tuna version here. Right, going on to this red dial here. So what we have here is, I think it's a satin dial, and I don't think it's gloss, but because of the reflection of glass, I can't really tell for sure, but I'm going to say it's satin red. It's got that crosshair pattern, printed details, of course, the names, Retangula, 500 meter, and the gun, printed details. But it's got kind of embedded little holes for the indices, for the 11 indices you're getting here, and you're getting white printing for the chapter ring, which is around the flange. So pretty cool details here. The hands are brushed steel, or brushed metal, obelisk shape. I want to call this obelisk shaped hands. It's got simple stick seconds with a red colored counterbalance lollipop, which is a nice little touch here. I think it's got what they say, Japanese superluminova. I thought superluminova is a Swiss thing, but anyway, Japanese superluminova is what they say on the usual main hands, the 12 pips. But it's also got lume on the chapter ring, lume on that gun cartoon there, as well as the full bezel. So pretty nice lume signature, which of course I'm sharing with you guys here on a photo to let you see how it looks like in the dark. Okay, surrounding the dial is 120 click unidirectional dive style bezel. Of course, it's got a sapphire insert, and let's listen to it now. 5. Okay, nice little clicks here. Right, so 120 click unidirectional dive style bezel. Minimal black play. I guess you're not going to expect super quality, but it actually feels not bad on this watch at all. On top of the glass is not domed, but flat sapphire crystal is what they provided. So let's catch some reflection here on this watch here. Right, onto the strap here. So this is obviously a very bright red strap. It's dive rubber, so it's got these extension bits here, perforations, nicely done perforations, and then internal texture is actually pretty nice, I must say. Right, so this is a dive rubber. It's not silicone rubber. It's not as supple as silicone rubber, but it is what it is. And then it's got brushed steel hardware, including some cool little details here. I don't know actually what that says, but I assume it's a Gundam related thing here. Okay, so that's the entire description. I'm going to pop it on the wrist for a wrist shot for you guys now. And there we go. This is the Retangula R1 Zaku massive watch. So remember, 53mm height here, and then the thickness is 17.5 on my 17 centimeter wrist. It is no doubt, it is a massive watch, massive wrist presence, and that red kind of just screams out, look at me, which is partly why I chose this watch. I just wanted something that would be quite a conversation starter. Now this is slightly tight, as I put it. If I'm gonna adjust this to the 4th hole here, unfortunately I'm kind of in between size here. So if I put it on this hole, it's more comfortable, but unfortunately it's just a bit loose enough so that I can turn this all the way around. And that's partly due to the configuration of the case here and the kind of lugs which are tucked in underneath. All right, guys, so that's the watch. What have I enjoyed about this? Look, I think this is a very nicely executed Marine Master Tuna homage, right? I really do think that the quality, the fit and finish actually is pretty darn good for under $400 here. And it's an alternate take on the Zaku-II theme. Now, the original Zaku, I guess you would call it a bit of a dark maroon color. This version is, I guess, the version 2, which comes in red and blue and green. I chose the red. So it's a little bit more of a loose homage. Definitely the original doesn't have a weapon with the word attack on the dial there. So that's a little bit over the top, I think. So some people think that. It's got a solid titanium case. It's got a very good aluminium shroud work. Nothing to complain about there. The look is great here. And then it's got the sapphire on top of that, both the bezel and the glass, and also 500 meter water resistant rating. So all up a very solid package there. And overall, I think at the sale price, this is good value. $350 for what you're getting here is actually pretty good value. I love the little details they've put in here. Somebody obviously this is a labor of love. That icon with the weapon on the dial here, the arrow pointing to the date. Hopefully you can see that. I think that's also on the original. That little arrow there, kind of military, I guess, dial type of inspiration. The military font, which is again in the original for the 500 meter particularly water rating, and that military stencil font. Little lock here, which really doesn't need to be there, but they put it there, and then little details like that, and the case back, of course. Just all these little things just scream at me that somebody has put a lot of thought into the design and the little homages here. What are the weaknesses? What I don't like about this watch? Well, I think the rubber is not the best quality. It's not the most comfortable. I think it's reasonably well done in terms of the texture and details, but it really, I think just for my wrist size, it doesn't fit that well. And if you're going to get a watch like this, you're going to have to accept a very, very top-heavy design. There's no getting away with that. 17.5 millimeter thickness, all the weight in the case and hardly in the rubber. It does feel top-heavy in the wrist, and maybe you don't mind that, but some people might find that difficult to accept. All right, guys, there we go. That's my review of this piece. Let's flip it around now for the wrap-up. So there you go, guys, my review of the Rdunae Retangula Zaku Tuna homage. They call it the R1 model. Let me know your thoughts about this. I really have enjoyed this piece. I think it's really quite attractively done and really quite well done in terms of fit and finish as well. For $350, the sale price, I reckon this is a pretty solid piece. But let me know your thoughts if you have one of these pieces or something else from this brand. Would of course be very interested to hear from your experience and know who might get this piece. Look, if you like the look of the Gundam 40th anniversary pieces, especially the Char's Zaku-II Seiko Marine Master, but you're not ready to pop $4,000 or $5,000, and let's face it, I have my hesitancies popping $4,000 or $5,000 out for a Seiko. Maybe this can be something that gives you the feel and the look without having to pop out for the real thing, which not everybody can afford. So guys, let me know your thoughts. Always look forward to the discussion. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. New content weekly, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys again next time.